latest episode, the current show of the World of Ability podcast. I'm Kurt Roskoff. Pleased to be co-hosting this with Denise Vargas and Emily. And we have a few people from our World of Ability team here, Marianne Ambrose, Curtis Lau, and Barbara Schrader-Weinstein. So we have a lot going on today. We're going to be talking about Women's History Month and how that intersects with the disability community. So people who identify with maybe challenges on both sides, maybe advantages on both sides. So we are going to unpack that reality, gender specific. And again, this is powered by and made possible by Transforming Media Network, creating the collaboration for podcasting, World of Ability Podcast Network. We have added ourselves on to the PAC channel with Zach Clayton of Community Pay It Forward. And so the history here from the World of Ability podcast show is stemming back to Sunday, July 26, 2020, where we commemorated at that time, it would have been the 30th anniversary of the Americans with Disabilities Act. Looking forward to the 32nd anniversary coming up this July. Denise, do you want to get us started here? You want to set the stage for Women's History Month and how we are going to be discussing that as it relates to our objectives here in disability advocacy, disability awareness, and just the topic as it would be preferred by people with disabilities. What do you think, Denise?
Yeah, thank you for that. And what I was thinking about is the challenges that I face as a woman who is a wheelchair user. You know, we women have the extra challenges that we need to take care of. For example, I know that when I go for a mammogram, it is very difficult because you need to kind of angle the chair, and it's uncomfortable for all women, but it's a little bit more uncomfortable if you're a wheelchair user, and the challenges that go with that, and finding doctors that understand that and are willing to be creative. And you know, I'm all about living creatively. So it's finding that right team of doctors and providers that will get creative and figure out other ways to do things with you. And I was thinking about even women who are having children and, you know, finding an OB that really gets the challenges that one might have, you know, especially if you're a paraplegic and you've got no muscle and you can't really control your legs. So it's amazing to me that we live in the year 2022 and we're still facing these challenges in the medical field. So yeah, I would love to get other women here's perspective. I'm sure that Barbara must have had challenges finding the right doctor to help her with bringing her beautiful children into the world. I don't know if Barbara is actually able to speak, but those are some of the challenges that I face. And just even going into the facilities, you know, we still have to deal with the challenge of a lot of facilities not being wheelchair accessible as a whole. So let alone being able to treat women with disabilities. So Barbara, are you available? Do you have any insight as to when you were pregnant and bringing your children into the world? Well, she might not be with us at this time.
Yeah, so while we're waiting for Barbara, and I see Marianne stepped away, why don't we take a little insight from Curtis Lau, our secret agent? Why don't you get us started here, Curtis? Us guys can kind of tease and taunt the women and really get this ignited here from the male perspective. So, Curtis, what's been your observation in your life when you look at this intersectionality? They taught me that's how we'd refer to this intersectionality, that we're talking about the women's community, and then within the women's community, women with disabilities, and kind of the considerations you're aware of as male. And I don't know you as identifying with a disability, so I don't know if we're saying you're outside or inside the disability community, but what are your thoughts on this topic as we're in Women's History Month?
Well, I'd like to start the ball rolling perhaps with nowadays, women still are fighting to get equal pay for men as men in the workplace. That has been a hard fought battle for women since the Equal Rights Amendment in the 1970s. And as a history teacher, I think it's deplorable that women and men are not paid the same, whether it be in the workplace or for the jobs that they do. So working backwards as a history teacher, I'm a secondary single subject teacher in social studies for many years. I think it's important that we talk about perhaps the inequalities in the workplace, perhaps. And going back, we could talk about other historical members of the female sex. Let's talk about Clara Barton, Florence Nightingale. Let's talk about Mother Teresa with all the things that she did for people in India. Let's talk about Jane Addams, perhaps, with Hull House, Hullhouse. Hull House, if you did not know, Jane Addams in Chicago, she started a place for children and orphans to live in Chicago that had inequalities, that had a poor lot on life. She opened that for people with disabilities and people that didn't have a home. So, historical women since time began with, Eve and the biblical characters, there's all sorts of women in the Bible that we could talk about that helped, whether it's helping people in the streets of, Jerusalem, or have been trying to better women's lot in life, I guess. So I'd like to start the ball rolling. Maybe ladies or gentlemen could, pipe in and give their opinions about the inequality in the workplace, or all the other women, Susan B. Anthony or Elizabeth Cady Stanton with the right to vote. We could talk about a lot of things, but the women's right to vote, my God, Columbus came over here and settled, if you will, America, and dominated the Native Americans down in Hispaniola. But it took women 400 years roughly to get that right to vote. It took from 1492 all the way to 1920 for women to get the suffrage vote. So my goodness, like the Virginia Slim cigarette advertisement from the 70s, you've come a long way, baby. If anyone's old enough to remember that. But, as a trivia buff, I remember that. And still, women are still trying to get a long way, baby. They're trying to catch up with men in the disparities or the inequalities. So hopefully that gives us lots to talk about, Kurt.
All right. So Mary Ann, as one of the male members of this podcast team here, I guess I'll apologize, Mary Ann, on behalf of the male gender for maybe not helping you be in an equitable place as you're working your business. Curtis is talking about how women have suffered from not having equal pay and an equal place in the workforce. And but I just kind of want to stir you up, Mary Ann, and see what's bubbling up inside of you as we're talking about Women's History Month. And so whatever you want to say as a woman entrepreneur, lady in business, and everything you're doing, do you find anything of interest and coming from the deaf and hard of hearing community, when you ball that up to be a woman who is deaf or hard of hearing? And then we're talking about the employment sector, the enterprise sector. What thoughts do you have on all this, Mary Ann? Anything to contribute as we're talking about Women's History Month is right now in March? And you are muted, Mary Ann. And I don't know if she Oh, that's I I thought she was sitting there poised, ready to talk, but that's just a photo. So
Yeah,
that was good to talk to her photo there for a moment. I was really trying to build up for her to jump on in. But what I can add
Well,
in here
oh,
is,
oh, can you hear me?
yeah, a
yeah, we
little
hear
bit.
you, Marianne. Take it away. I was giving a big build up for you, so
Uh,
jump in and take the
well,
mic.
I just, you it's it out there, but I'm creating my own business.
I think she's frozen.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time hearing you guys. It's breaking up over here for some reason.
Oh, well, now we hear you.
Uh, yeah, I mean, I really don't know what else. I really don't want to get into those type of tops, so to speak. There's, yeah, there's inequality, but I'm grateful was employed and made a living, and I'm still making a living. So I'm gonna, create Denise, and I'm going to live creatively, and I know the abundance of is going to come to me. So it also depends on, is it a paycheck, or I'm in Hawaii on a Social Security disability income. And you know what? I got to live on a 45-foot sailboat. I had $1 million view. I had $1 million mindset, and you just got to accommodate to how you see what you want, what your future is.
I love that. Yeah, it is really all about mindset as well. And just going back into, history, as Curtis was saying, women had the mindset of saying, hey, this isn't right. We are all created equal, and it's even in our Constitution, right? So that being said, we do need to have that mindset of never give up, and let's work together to change the world, change our mindset, change everyone else's mindset, and really make this a world that we are all equal and we can all do whatever it is that we want. And like Marianne said, own our own businesses, just really be creative and do what you want. But we do still need to have our allies work with us so that we can all have that voice to make that change.
Right. Yeah, and what happens to the more money you make, the more you spend. So depends on how your lifestyle is. And my deaf friend also too always said that everybody in the world should be at least like given $1 million at birth. And there you go. Right? And you budget or you live or whatever, that everybody's equal in that way because everybody deserves that. So yeah. It's a challenge too for persons with disabilities being on a limited income with food stamps, but we're fortunate that it is provided and that there is a system. And when you work and put it into the system, it's given back to you.
Yeah, you were speaking a little bit in the direction of universal basic income, and that definitely is a topic that could stand a lot more dialogue and debate, and understanding the enthusiasts of that solution, universal basic income. But for sure, I share in the tension that it is just mind-boggling how tolerant we are for people to suffer. so let's marinate on that for a little bit. But I want to acknowledge Curtis here. He
marinate, Kurt. I'm marinating chicken.
All right.
Tabasco chicken. I
There
told
we
you I
go.
was going to be grilling today, so marinate on Marianne today.
That woman is
I'm
cooking.
going to be a self-made millionaire, Kurt.
All right. I like what Marianne is cooking. All right. The chicken looks good.
Olay.
All right. Ole.
With the hand.
Oh, now we're
Lamano.
talking to the hand.
Talking to the and it's La Mano in Spanish. La Mano.
La
Yes.
Mano. All right. Gotta hand it to you.
Yeah.
You know?
Just a few things I forgot I was going to add too. So I know I usually teach you signs. So this is a sign for chicken. Can you see my hands? Chicken. Okay, the little legs, and turn that around. That's
Yeah.
potato. I'm making chicken and potato for you today to teach you sign language.
Look at that. Gotta love the meat and potatoes diet there, and a little crab. All right. So yeah, I thought I was doing a little palm reading there for a moment, but I haven't learned that yet. I'll have to pick that up sometime. So, but back to the check-in that we had by Curtis Lau. He typed out for us as a heads up, the Paralympics are happening right now in China. So let's take a look at that, to look at athletes with disabilities and the experiences that female athletes with disabilities are getting out there at the Paralympics. I haven't been following it very much at all, unfortunately. The Happy Neighborhood Project has kept me so busy. I've just been worried about happiness. So I suppose it's not the worst thing in the world, eh? But one thing I was going to share is that last night I happened to choose to pick up on a movie I didn't see, and it's the movie Lincoln. So that was quite a viewing and a story there told through that couple-hour movie about Abraham Lincoln and what he went through, and the characters of the House of Representatives and what they went through to, you know, I guess I say this on the coattails of February was Black History Month, and so putting it all together with a lot of intersectionality, we talk about women with disabilities and what about, you know, Black women with disabilities, and look at that voting thing. At one part of the movie in Lincoln, the legislators, or one legislator was saying, where is it going to end? You know, are we like going to, you know, I forget the word he used, but it's pretty much complete, you know, complete enfranchisement, you know, like everybody gets to vote. And it's kind of an interesting soundbite from the movie, because of course that's basically where it all goes, is that, you know, everybody of voting age should be able to vote, you know, but that was not the attitude back in the day of Abraham Lincoln. But it was interesting to see how they portrayed that it was on a very narrow margin by a couple votes that the 18th Amendment was passed, given Black voter, or making it a thing that there are Black voters, and to free the slaves, you know, on the coattails of the Emancipation Proclamation, you know. So
You might be thinking of the 13th Amendment, Kurt.
Oh, 13th Amendment. That's right. What's the
18th Amendment was prohibition, and the 21st repealed prohibition. I'm the history teacher here. Remember?
Oh man, I must be anticipating cocktail hour or something that 18th Amendment came to mind. I apologize. So yeah, good thing we have a history teacher here, because I am not a history buff, obviously. I just saw the movie last night and I messed it up. So how about that, Teach? Does that give you an idea how I scored in school?
Yeah, I don't know what you were paying attention to. Maybe you were having a little cocktail last night yourself.
Yeah, I was more worried about the 18th Amendment.
Yeah, you were studying history, and in one day you forgot history.
Well, you get an E for effort.
There we go. All right, Diva. All right, and I say Diva because Denise is all about dreaming every day and visualizing always. DE of Denise, VA of Vargas. She is our Diva. So, Diva, what's on your mind as we watch Marianne enjoy her chicken and potatoes there?
Well, wow, a lot's on my mind now, because even when we would talk, when Curtis brought up the equal pay, it's interesting that not only are women not receiving equal pay? But again, as a person with a disability, we are often given even below minimum wage. There's this stigma, if you will, of people with disabilities not being able to work, not being able to make millions of dollars, have their own business and really even grow their own foundations even, right? It's like you have this way of, society has a way of treating people with disabilities with this, poor thing factor. And, it's, we are empowered, right? But sometimes we do need that little extra help to get over that bump in the road, or several bumps in the road, even the potholes that are in the road that we often fall into. But yeah, if you given the chance, women, particularly women with disabilities, all people with disabilities, could really have something meaningful in their lives, or like a real, find their purpose, find their dream. When Kurt calls me diva, it's not diva like, oh, Denise thinks she's all that. No, Denise is all about dreaming every day and visualizing always. So diva until you make it, right? So you get what you want.
Yeah. If you don't, you get what you need.
Yeah.
So I just a few things. Even too, for example, I'm at this Airbnb and I was manifesting money, and I just don't see it popping in my bank account. But people were kind enough to take me to go shopping. People left me with $100 worth of food. So I use that mindset to create a coloring book now with Dr. Fingers, the finger spelling hermit crab. So again, it just depends on how you value money too. Is it about just that specific amount, or how you see your quality of life, of what can happen? And that's about learning about manifestation too, as well as we marinate the chicken. So I do have a question. Is the teacher still back on here?
Yes.
Yeah, Curtis is on.
Where are you?
Yeah, he's on.
The teacher is on.
Curtis.
secret
So
agent
I'm asking Curtis for his help. So all classroom teachers can get copies of my books from donorschoose.org. I have the new website. It's actsofkindnessseries.com. And my special ed friend teacher told me about it. It took her 10, 15 minutes for us to meet at Starbucks for her to fill out a request on Donors Choose and how these books are going to benefit her classroom. She requested, I think, 50 books, and she got funded in 2 weeks. And I got a nice royalty check from Amazon. So I want to see that happen through the 50 states in USA. And that's going to keep me alive too. And then I can create that to put back into making more app games and more educational products. So Curtis, please go to my website, actsofkindnessseries.com and donorschoose.org. It just takes 10 minutes to fill out. I need this amount of books for a school. It's acts of kindness, ocean cleanup, anti-bullying. And guess what? Now I have app games being developed so you can learn the finger spelling alphabet with Dr. Fingers. He's now on the website, the finger spelling hermit crab. So you read.
So you are looking for unemployed teachers like myself to order your book.
You don't have to pay for it. It's a request. Someone's going to come through and fund it like a charity. But yeah, share that with other teachers for your classroom. And that's going to benefit me too as well.
Very
So
well.
yes, donorschoose.org. I need 100 books for this school. Post it. It's like a la carte. And guess what? Someone's going to come through and fund it.
You could put that in the chat. I would appreciate that. Thank you.
I sure did. And yeah, yes. So everybody wins, and we have HNP nonprofit. So guess what? If we go, guess what? Curtis just posted on Donors Choose for me. I'm going to go worldwide on HNP to let them know. So if anybody wants to donate, they can do it. Everybody wins, right, Kurt? It's all about happiness. And there's a little, just another mindset of how, say, working creatively. There you go.
There you you go. Feliz Biblioteca. I don't know. That's all I could think of right now for a Spanish response. So
Happy library. Okay.
yeah, happy library. We want happy librarians, right?
Exactly. The librarians can request them all. In the USA. And email. So, the teachers are funds to bring work into the classroom, such as books and everything like that. So here is the dollars a couple of years ago on a weekend. So classroom teachers can a la carte it. Marilyn got carpet for her classroom, an air conditioner, and for Hawaii, they go on. You can go on Amazon. I believe you get to Best Buy. There may be something on Walmart. Again, you go, I need this, this, and this, and post it. And again, someone will come through and fund it.
All right. So Curtis, I want to pick on you a little bit. You got your, thumb up in the background. It looks like you were having fun playing golf there. And so what's going on with your golf game? Tell us about your golf adventures and
Well, still trying to break 80, but that's the life of a golfer, taking a few lessons, playing as much as I can. But getting back to our topic for the day, basically helping women to get more parity in the workplace. It's interesting that Denise brought up having a little push. So Denise, you're saying that people in wheelchairs need a little more push. Is that correct in the workplace?
Absolutely. You got to roll with it, right?
You do. It amazes me that the visually impaired we could talk about this, the visually impaired get glasses and insurance pays for glasses, but the hearing impaired doesn't get hearing aids. What's that all about? Insurance only covers $100. My insurance only covers $100, if that, for a $3,000 set of hearing aids. So if I want to get hearing aids and I'm hearing impaired, which I am, that's a long story, my health. But the gist is, if you're hearing impaired, you don't get the same as a person that's visually impaired. What's that all about? What's that with the American Disabilities Act? Why is that still a problem in America?
well, I would say that there is a political recession, in the realm of disability advocacy. And the reason I say that is for the last handful of years, I've known about the Disability Integration Act, which doesn't, solve like what you're talking about, Curtis, but just to see what's happening with that act. It's a fabulous proposal of legislation. May have pieces of it that is like worth not supporting as a legislator and so forth. But to me, for what this country could be, what I would hope is that senators and Congress people alike, everybody in the House of Representatives could take something like the Disability Integration Act and, look at it as their own, as a citizen and legislator leader, supposedly, of the United States of America. And because of the politics, they just kind of push it to the side. An example is my Senator, Ron Johnson. I went into his office and told him, or told his staff actually, and, saw him at a Republican event and, kind of made it a point that I wanted to really see some attention on this. Well, the response that he gives is, if you can tell me that one of my Republican counterparts on my committee is supporting the Disability Integration Act, I'll see what I can do. So what sense does that make, that we're sending people to the Capitol, to legislate in the House of Representatives, and it's like him representing me is dependent upon somebody else in another place that doesn't represent me.
Mhm.
What sense does that make? Where has our legislative process gone? It's gone into it's not my problem. So here we have a privileged senator that I'm not afraid to call out. I mean, he does a lot of wonderful work. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying he's a horrible senator, but there's something going on with the dude that when I bring up the topic I care about, that he gives me such a horrific response as far as I'm concerned. I cannot understand how we as Americans tolerate this mode of politics. It's ridiculous. So to
Well,
me, Curtis,
way that Americans need to actually participate is with their vote and or writing their Congress people. And a lot of people just are apathetic and don't do that. So you're right, Kurt. It's appalling that a congressperson or a senator would sit there and say that, well, if this partisan or nonpartisan person sides with me or agrees with me, then I'll vote for it. Where is the step up to the plate, so to speak, and being responsible and initiating some sort of legislation that would, favor all Americans? I agree.
yeah, because that's exactly what was portrayed in the movie Lincoln, is that we have that 13th Amendment because there were a handful of members of the House of Representatives on the Democratic Party side that's surprised the bejeebers out of their colleagues in the Democratic Party to say yay. When the vote was taken, they said yay, and it was like the dramatic part of the whole thing, and one of them abstaining when the Democratic Party thought that that was going to be a no vote by that individual. And so that's the kind of stuff that just makes sense, that you have somebody who represents their district the way they're supposed to, and just thinks about, like you just said, Curtis, what does this 13th Amendment mean for the United States of America and for my constituents, and I'm representing my constituents, what ought to be my vote? And that movie did so good to portray that at that point in history, with Abraham Lincoln as our president, that kind of stuff was going on that day. Now, obviously, on the other side, that there was some things that were portrayed that were questionable, and that was kind of the healing being worked out during that time. And so we have that kind of thing today. But the Disability Integration Act is under that same type of, weakness of our country as supposedly a superpower and everything we're so proud of to be an American. And not to say we shouldn't be proud to be American, but there's some blemishes that cause great concern. Like, you don't see it as much in other countries, but we have these problems here, and we're not really calling it out for what it is. And so to your point, Curtis, about the disparity between the blind community and the deaf and hard of hearing community, it's not I didn't get anything of your point that there's any issue with the support that the blind community is getting. You're just kind of saying, okay, great, we made that progress, but what about over here? There's a little bit of an ailment. We're not caught up with the times, that something as simple as hearing aids should be treated a whole lot better than it is. And then it becomes that process. How do we get a radical change in our insurance system? I was even thinking about like you, Curtis, and you, Denise, you're both part of the nutritional direct selling industry and stuff like that. But a lot of products that are fabulous products that are great for us. And there's some items in the inventory of products that when you look at synthetic medication, and then you look at the basically the better product for us to ingest to attend to some of these concerns we have in our bodies, and we have an insurance system which, great, we have that support for when we do need these synthetic medications, but it's a perverted consumption, way over the top where it should be in prescription meds. And why? Because the prescription medication industry, the pharmaceutical, that money thing, It's just ridiculous, and where are we as Americans, as hundreds of millions of people, going to dial in and say, we the people are choosing to kill ourselves. I was on a synthetic med for over a decade, and it bothered me all along the way. I'm like, as soon as the doctor put me on, I'm like, how long am I going to be on it? And, I'd have to say lifetime, he says. And I'm like, really? I'm in my 40s. I'm going to be on this darn thing for a lifetime. What's going on? I'm not understanding myself that way.
Yes,
and I'm off of it today.
That's what the pharmaceutical companies want you to do. They want you to be addicted for a lifetime.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I was just going to say that, well, one thing, yes, the pharmaceutical company, but it's interesting that the pharmaceutical company controls so much of that. But at the end of the day, like Curtis was saying, it is still up to our politicians to say, hey, enough. If this product is helping someone and it's natural, why not let the person choose what they want to use, right? Why not give them the option to, one, make it affordable, and two, have the insurance be able to pay for things that supplements. You need them, but insurance companies do not pay for them. And it seems like between the pharmaceutical companies, the insurance companies, and our politicians, they need to come to some sort of agreement and say, hey, enough is enough. Let's help our people. Let's give them the choices, because we are here in America, land of the free. We should have free will and make our own choices for our own bodies, our own health. But if I can just go back even a little bit more, and I know that people who are listening, especially some people who know me, I'm about to say something that they're not going to be too happy about me saying this, but you know what? Here at World of Ability, it's all about our opinions matter, right? And so I am going to share my little pet peeve, if you will, in history. And Curtis, please chime in. President Roosevelt had a disability. He was a wheelchair user. He had polio. And how long was it before Americans even knew that? Here's this great president who had the power to really make change, but it was hidden away. No one really knew about it until pretty much when he was no longer president. Like, how long after his presidency was it finally brought out to light to people? And now you even see statues of him in his wheelchair. We need to go back and really realize that, hey, this is happening, this has been happening, and people who were in the position to really make change, because that's what politicians are here for, right? To hear our requests, our needs, and make it equal for everyone. But you'll have people in power, and again, we're talking about Women's History Month. There are even women in power now that are not really speaking up for their constituents and really making the change that we need to have. So I'd love to hear your thoughts, Curtis, on this little pet peeve of mine of not.
FDR, at his choosing, actually, he's the one that wanted America not to see him in a wheelchair. That was his choice. He wanted America to see him as a strong and powerful president, and he didn't want to be considered weak or not be powerful. So at most of the times when he was seen speaking, he had braces on. He was being supported. He was filmed at fireside chats from the waist up and not the waist down. He wanted to convey that powerful and strong presence. Not to say that people in wheelchairs or have disabilities aren't powerful, but he wanted to portray that in the 1930s as being an acting and powerful president. So that was his choosing. Going back to what you said, Denise, about the Constitution, And what Kurt said about the 13th Amendment. Why was not Indians, why were not women chosen as part of that voting act in the 13th Amendment? It's amazing that the Indians were just even overlooked and pushed aside as they had no rights. They were not even considered a person, whereas at least blacks were considered 3/5 of a vote if they lived in that state of Virginia or a slave state. At least blacks were 3/5 of a person, but Indians were considered zero. And women were considered zero. They got no chance to vote. So you talk about the Constitution. Why is, as the Constitution, Denise, I know I'm swaying the conversation a little bit here, but why is the Constitution not tweaked? Because the Constitution is a living and breathing document. It does evolve with the changes. And why do they not say all men are created equal? No, why doesn't it say all people are created equal? All people, not just men. Why don't we change or tweak the Constitution and rewrite it in today's language? That is a question that I have as a history teacher. Why don't we create a 28th Amendment for the right for women to vote and or Indians to vote or any legalized citizen in the United States to vote? We need to add a 28th Amendment, whether it be Bill of Rights for gun control and change the Second Amendment, or whether it be voting rights or disability rights. So I know I'm kind of tweaking this about FDR and opening up a can of worms, but there you have it.
There you have it. Absolutely. We do need to tweak it.
So Marianne, what did you have bubbling up? You got something to share, and you are on mute. Your phone is muted yet, Marianne.
She's still a little further. There she goes.
Okay. So I guess I want to share this with you too. And when I was hit by the hotel manager with the SUV through the wall behind me, I had my hearing evaluated right away the next day because it was ringing in the ears. I knew I had a hearing loss and the vertigo started. And Dr. Michael Seidman office got me in. And anyway, I had my hearing evaluation. And so he came out with a company, which is similar to Amway, a multi-level marketing company. And he originally created this product called ViPack for persons with bringing into a multi-level marketing company. And the product was $125 a month for a vitamin supplement. And you did feel better, but I was just kind of like, too, questioning a person with disability cannot afford. You know what I mean? And it's sad that for hearing aids, or anything like that, I'm going to say in my future or my 401k, and not to have it in insurance. But fortunately, I got chiropractic treatment that alleviated a lot of the stuff. My ringing in the ears dissipated from 2 chiropractors working on me in California, Dr. Kim Jameson and Dr. Raphael Retner, and also upper cervical in Honolulu. With Dr. Joe Brever, and it's amazing. So I'm glad I had the insurance to use that with Medicare to pay for those types of treatments. Now I'm still waiting to be reimbursed from Medicare, which I had to pay out of pocket, and grateful that Cassidy on HNP Nicholas helped me contact the offices of what to do. And that gives me a reminder that I got to follow up, because I filed all the paperwork before I left Hawaii, asking why I wasn't getting my reimbursement checks in the mail. So anyway, I'm just sharing some of the stuff that, even though you may say, they say there's products that work, but if you really get to the root of mind, body, and spirit for healing, and it can really benefit you that way also too.
Excellent. Thanks for all that insight, Marianne. Appreciate it.
Hey, I became a Reiki master too over at Unity Church of Hawaii with my deaf friend Scott. He was a healer. And now I'm kind of like Hot Hands Marianne. And Curtis, guess what? Is this in this community here? I'm with a retired pro golfer named Tim. Kurt got to meet him too. And I laid hands on him and I worked on his shoulder and his hip. So those are some of the things that, you know, you have other talents that you can help and share with the world too as well. So it's not a cure all. And now we, put it out there for how these millions of people in Ukraine who are going to acquire a hearing loss now. What are we going to do? And so anyway, I just wanted to share that information. And that's the way of just overcoming and healing too. You heal your mind, body, and spirit. Back to you, Kurt.
All right.
Actually,
Thank you,
if
Marianne.
I can just chime into what Marianne was just saying, for example, with the Reiki and massage and all these other alternative, like we were talking about, alternative therapies and medicine that will help, insurance doesn't cover it. And there's so many ones, when you talk about Western medicine and Eastern medicine, there's so much out there that would be so beneficial, particularly to people with disabilities. Like massage is something so vital to, especially if you're not walking, to get your blood circulation going and moving. But even those massage boots that they sell, insurance doesn't cover that either. And back to the DIA, the Disability Integration Act, that is really legislation that I really hope does pass, because that will make it easier for people to even move from one state to another. Because what you qualify for in one state, you don't qualify in every state. And it should be, if they're federal dollars, they should be the same, nationwide, not just in one particular state. So there you go. That's my 2 cents.
Right. Our United Healthcare too did provide acupuncture treatments too. So we got that under our plans too. So my deaf friend would go for acupuncture as well from a neck injury. But anyway, it did benefit, took away can't enough to Mark Siegel spray. It's amazing. I was up and I did pull my back, it was gone. I mean, seriously. So I'm not taking my, just heavy Motrin that they gave me. But I recommend his products as well. Big shout out to Mark Siegel. That's great stuff. It's just a topical spray. Amazing. And I just had my shoulder worked on this morning too by a kind Canadian. Last year, see, that was money right there. So again, it's a mindset. I got kind of like a free massage. I would have paid $30 out of pocket. Got some free lunch today because somebody left.
Well, very good. Very good. Well done, Marianne. So I want to get back to the quote that Curtis referenced. I want to read off the quote that we're talking about. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So I wanted to go there because it gives us a segue for what I want to finish up today's show with, and to talk about happiness, to talk about International Day of Happiness as delivered by the Happy Co-op and the Happy Neighborhood Project. It is set up to commence at 9 a.m. Pacific time on Friday, March 18th. Friday, March 18th at 9 a.m. Pacific time. We are going to be rocking and rolling with the International Day of Happiness on hopin.com. And it is something that can be signed up for through hmpabc.com. That takes you to happyneighborhoodproject.com. And there is information there on the International Day of Happiness. It'll take you to happyneighborhoodproject.com/IDH, or using the short link format, it would be hmpabc.com IDH. So it's a 6-hour event set up to have speakers, an expo experience where vendors have a booth space on the screen, and to go in there, and when you enter into their booth, you then are in that breakout room type of thought where you're just in that separate conversation with that vendor and anybody else visiting that booth, and open up your microphone if you want, your camera if you want, have an interactive experience with these vendors. And then there's going to be giveaways. And then the real feature component is the speed networking. 3 minutes with artificial intelligence, the AI algorithm, pairing you up based on your profile and so forth with another person who would be a goodness of fit to prioritize them to be the one to spend the next 3 minutes with you in speed networking. And with that, we are aiming to have 12 at minimum 1,200 people at this event. Last year, we had over 900 people. So we're looking to boost that up by 33% and to have an extra 300 people, 1,200. And the reason being, we have an ulterior motive of breaking the Guinness Book World Record of speed networking that was provided in Belgium in 2014. There were 1,068 people speed networking in Belgium in 2014. So that's what we have to beat, in a couple short weeks here, in less than a couple weeks. So we're looking for everybody to help us out by sharing the information and helping the Happy Neighborhood Project go from like 500 registered to more than triple that, and get this up. Well, I guess it would be more than that, because, if we're going to have the, now I'm losing my numbers, the 23, because we're beating, so 1,200. So we got to get, almost like four times plus, what we have now. So it's a lot of everybody involved, invite people and then have those people invite people. We need a little bit of a viral action on all this. So we have a poster, we have it posted on LinkedIn, we have it posted on Facebook, both as event entries. We have our webpage. We're using all of the digital marketing acumen to get the International Day of Happiness out there to the masses around the world and up our ticket purchases. Right now, we've got about 48 hours left, a couple days, where on Monday, it's the last takings for the $10 ticket price. So March 7th is the last day for the $10 rate, available through the Happy Co-op. You can get to that through the happycoop.com, and that'll take you to Happy Co-op, or the Happy Neighborhood Project. So happyneighborhoodproject.com/co-op or hmpabc.com/co-op. And when you enter for free into that co-op, it will have you register with your email address. It'll shoot to your inbox a token link. You click on that token link from out of your email, and bam, you are a free member of the co-op. And you can go ahead and use that to register for International Day of Happiness. And going that route, get the $10 rate. You'll see on the website, it's showing the $25 rate, which will be enacted even with the co-op starting on Tuesday. So Denise, anything more you want to say about how you're looking forward to International Day of Happiness and crystallize this picture of how this is so important?
Absolutely. And also, just for those who want to be a vendor for the International Day of Happiness, we will have virtual vendor booths that you can, right now they are going for, I believe, $250. So if you want to become a vendor, it's a great opportunity for people to come and interact with you virtually at your booth. You can even have a video that will loop while you're out and about looking at other things and participating in the speed networking. But also, I'd like to offer our viewers out there the opportunity to get a free ticket. So for those who are listening, the first person that comments below this video will win a free ticket to the International Day of Happiness. So definitely comment below today, like, share, subscribe, and first person to say, yay, I want to go to the International Day of Happiness, will get that free ticket. So definitely we look forward to having all our friends there, and we're going to have great speakers, awesome giveaways. Matter of fact, there's going to be a Dell laptop that's being given away with a few gift cards. So looking forward to having you all there. Until then, I love being here with you. I wish you all what I always say, stay happy, stay positive, and always live creatively. And back to you, Kurt.
All right. So yeah, and there's that neat feature with the Happy Co-op that with International Day of Happiness, we can buy additional tickets. And if the ticket purchases in our account get to be 15 or more tickets between now and the end of Monday, you get included with that a vendor space. So Denise, you brought up about $250. Well, through ticket purchases, showing that you're getting yourself and 14 other people to the event. Happy Neighborhood Project is just going to provide a vendor booth, with that approach. So Mary Ann, are you all set with your ticket? I'm trying to remember, did you have other plans that day, or are you going to International Day of Happiness, Mary Ann?
Well, Kurt, now that I feel like I'm a little bit grounded, I'm not on a sailboat and I have internet connection, and I'm secure for a place here in the next month too. I'm relocating, but yeah, I'm glad you reminded me. I'm going to sign up and forward it, because I'm going to promote my new coloring book with Dr. Fingers, the finger spelling hermit crab. Live creatively, Denise. And maybe I'm going to manifest it. I'm going to win the prizes. Yeah. I'm going to win them. I want to win the money so I can continue to create.
All right. Sounds good. So stay tuned, folks. March 19th, we are going to be updating you so that Marianne can tell you the story about how she won giveaways at International Day of Happiness. So that will be fun. So Curtis, you said that, if you didn't end up with other plans for that Friday, you would consider going.
Yeah. It's not a cape, Kurt. It's an apron.
But Curtis, is there anything we can do to help you get that $10 rate? Because if you wait till Tuesday or later, it's going to be $25. So
I will figure out a way to get to the International Day of Happiness if I can make it.
If you can make it. All right. So we encourage you to get that ticket. And if it changes on you, we'll just maybe need to help you to shift that ticket over to somebody else. But if you get the ticket between now and end of Monday, then you've got your spot ready to go. If it does work out, you can make it with us. We'd love to have you there. So Curtis, anything else you want to share about your adventures with the Happy Neighborhood Project and what's going on with you currently in terms of free happy business networking and all of that great stuff?
Well, just I love to help people like Mary Ann go to Cabo San Lucas or wherever she is vacationing currently. I always love to help people be happier and vacationing for less money. So if you know of some people that actually do want to travel for less, I'd be happy to help them. Usually people like to pay less. For some reason, they don't like to pay full price. But if they do, great, contact your local travel agent. If you do know someone that wants to travel for wholesale, I'd be happy to show them how through Club Secret. There is a special running through the end of the month. I put it in the chat. You join Club Secret and become an agent. And my goodness, you can go on an all-inclusive 5-night resort for 2 people for free. So if free doesn't tickle your funny bone, that famous 4-letter word that starts with F, I don't know what will. So all the information's in the chat, or I'd be happy to tell them how. So other than that, yes, I am happy. I am happy traveling. I'm happy helping people look better, feel better, and travel the world for less. So looking forward to changing that Constitution and making all people, endowed by our Creator, God, to have that pursuit of happiness and to be on an equal playing field. Yes. I'd like to change and tweak that Constitution.
There we go. I think we could call this the legislative disruptor episode. We're really stirring up the pot here today, folks. That is great, because I think we do have to think of what we ultimately want for the future of this great land and what we want our legacy to be. And I think what we talked about today is right within the priority list of what we ought to be thinking about going forward. So Denise, we're pretty much at the end of our episode here, but I like to always give you the minute to win it moment. So Denise Vargas, you got a minute to win it. Good luck. What's your final 60 seconds here?
Hey, well, like you said, here at World of Ability, we talk about everything. We might start with one thing, but we will definitely go and get others' opinion. We want to have you here on our next show. So if you're listening out there, watching us on Facebook and YouTube, just go ahead and contact Kurt at 262-372-1754. And let's make this happen. Let's get together. We'll see you soon.
Awesome. Thanks, Diva. And want to give recognition to the Disability Channel. I am an ambassador with the Disability Channel. It all got started with my work through radio, actually, 5.5 years ago. The Ability MKE Now show on River West Radio, riverwestradio.com. And doing radio, I was inspired to branch off to TV. And February 2020 on LinkedIn, I happened to stumble. My eyes just kind of glanced and caught, fortunately, the word disability with the Disability Channel. And being in disability advocacy and paying attention to disability services, I'm like, what's that? And I saw TDC and saw it was TV. And so they had me at hello, and I've been an enthused supporter of it. And then was happy when I got signed as ambassador. So check it out at thedisabilitychannel.ca, and feel free to give me an email, abilitymkenow@gmail.com. And again, props to Marcus Hart, the founder and podcast mogul that has brought forth Transform You Media Network. And through our collaborations with them, we have the World of Ability Podcast Network that now is going so well. We have Zach Clayton now hopping on the bandwagon, and we're reciprocating and collaborating with the PAC channel. And so we're all about show business here, folks. Feel free to contact us to be a guest and however else we can help you. And don't forget, we can't say enough about the Happy Neighborhood Project, happyneighborhoodproject.com. That'll do it for today. We'll catch you next time, next Saturday for World of Ability Podcast. And we have 13 other shows that are going to happen before then. So keep on enjoying the World of Ability Podcast Network. I'm Kurt Roskoff.